Under the Electronic Funds Transfer Act, if there's an unauthorized charge in your account that you've disputed, the bank has to do an investigation and determine, was it you that made this charge or was it someone else without your consent? If the bank comes back and incorrectly says, you authorized this is your charge, that's when you as a consumer have rights to file a lawsuit against the bank, a federal lawsuit, and say the bank broke the law and now they owe me money for my damages. Sometimes when a consumer is reviewing their bank statements, they see what they believe to be unauthorized charges. And when you see something like that, something you don't recognize, I recommend that you contact your bank right away and submit a dispute. Worst case scenario, when you submit that dispute, the bank's going to come back and say, this was your charge and here's how we know why. Maybe you signed up for an auto pay program you didn't remember, and they'll give you that information. But if the bank comes back and rejects your dispute, they give you certain information about the transaction, and you can know for certain that wasn't you. At that point, you have standing to bring the lawsuit, and you can proceed and protect yourself under the consumer protection statutes that apply. But if it comes back and it was your charge, then you just move on and know that you looked into it, and you can rest assured that there isn't any fraud going on. When you notice unauthorized transactions on your checking account or debit card, anything along those lines, the most efficient way to lodge a dispute is to call your bank and say, hey, this is on my statement. I don't recognize it. I didn't authorize it. You can also submit a letter through the mail. The benefit of submitting a letter through the mail is that you can explain a little bit more. You can show them documents substantiating where you were. So for example, if there's an ATM withdrawal that you didn't do, you'll see the location on your statement, but you can prove you're at work or you're out of town along those lines. That makes it much harder for the bank to prove that they did a reasonable investigation. But either way, telephone disputes are sufficient, written disputes are sufficient, but I do recommend you dispute the unauthorized charges immediately, no matter which method you choose. In terms of unauthorized charges on your bank account, I'd recommend filing a lawsuit immediately after the bank rejects your dispute. And what the dispute should say is it should give the bank, either over the phone or in a letter, saying this is the charge that I'm disputing, or oftentimes charges, multiple charges, and give the bank information about how you know this wasn't your charge. The bank will send you a letter or an email saying we got your dispute, we've reviewed it, and we're rejecting it. Once you receive that rejection, it's time for you to move forward and file a lawsuit against the bank, because that's the only way that you're going to get them to pay attention to you. And in doing so, the bank is going to have to pay you money for their violation of the federal law that they broke. In the event that your bank won't refund fraudulent charges, what you should do is contact Loker Law right away. Because at this point, what you've done already when they've rejected your dispute is you've given the bank a chance. You've called them and said, hey, this is fraud, I didn't do it. You've maybe sent them a letter explaining those same things. And at this point, the bank would have sent you a letter or an email acknowledging your dispute and unfortunately rejecting your dispute. Their decision is not going to change. What you need to change is how you're going about communicating with the bank. And the best way to do so post-rejection is to file a lawsuit against the bank and force them to pay attention, force them to pay you money for your damages, and get your money back and get the fraud to go away.